already have 8 new managers hired this offseason by their new respective ball clubs. Today, I'm going to go in, talk about each manager, talk about each of their ball clubs a little bit, their state of the franchise, how they fared last year, and who has the best chance to succeed with their new team going into next season based off of their current team now. Of course, it's very early in the offseason. There's going to be a ton of more stuff that's going to come out, but just taking a preliminary look here at just right now, who has the best chance to succeed and win next season with their new team. We're going to start off in San Diego with the Padres and Mike Shildt being hired by the San Diego Padres. Mike Shildt, former manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, was in the Padres organization since like 2020, I believe, and just kind of been hanging around there, and finally gets the job there in San Diego after Bob Melvin leaves for the Giants. So Mike Shildt, very interesting character. You know what? I hear a lot of great things about Mike Shildt. I hear a lot of great things about Mike Shildt. A lot of people are over the moon about him, and that's awesome. That's awesome stuff to hear. Doubt that he is a great manager, great leader, all that. He's taken over a San Diego team that went 80-82 last year, just finished under 500, but that's not a good thing. They were supposed to be World Series contenders. So the Padres, Mike Shildt, the core four there in San Diego of Tatis, Bogarts, Machado, Soto. As preliminary as this is, I'm not going to get into speculation of who's going to get traded, who's not. Soto is the core four as of right now into next season. Pretty good core four, right? So switching coast over to New York now with the Mets. Carlos Mendoza is over a Mets team that was also really disappointing last year, just like the Padres. The Mets had World Series aspirations as well. They were a whole new ball club from opening day 2024 to opening day 2023. That team was really old, really fast. Francisco Lindor is a great player, no doubt about that, but is he a core player? Is he a franchise player? Can he be the face of the franchise is the question I have with the New York Mets. I'm not taking anything away from Lindor. I like Lindor a lot, but can he be the guy? That's my number one question here. So in Cleveland, he was sort of the guy, but Cleveland and New York, it's a little bit of a different place, right? So that's my question with the Mets. They don't have many core pieces. The core four that I wrote out is Alonso, Senga, and McNeil. All players there. But the Mets and the division, they're in a tough division with Philadelphia and Atlanta. Same as the Padres, but the Padres have a little bit more of a better team as of right now, today, in my opinion. So we'll go over to the Midwest now in Cleveland, where Stephen Vogt. So Stephen Vogt, the long-time MLB player, retired in 2022, and then he took a year off last year. Right back in the big leagues, this time as a manager. Of course, Stephen Vogt, a catcher, we see a lot of catchers. A secret, a lot of catchers become managers. Taking over a Guardians team in a very mediocre division, has a chance to make some noise, right? So any team can really win this division. I'm not putting it past anybody. Maybe the Royals, I think it's a bit of a tall task for them. Anybody else, I think, could win this division. In the postseason in 22, tough year last year, another disappointing team. Surprising that we see disappointing teams getting new managers, and I think has a chance to do a good job there at Cleveland. Kind of reminds me of David Ross, right? A former catcher, kind of retires for like a minute, and then he's right back in the game. So Stephen Vogt, I think, they'll do a fine job with the Guardians. We'll see how far they get. Dave Ram is obviously the face of that franchise, and he fits in with Cleveland, right? I think he fits in perfectly with the Guardians. And San Francisco now, where Bob Melvin, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, took over the Giants job. He will be taking over the San Francisco Giants for the foreseeable future. Bob Melvin, a well-respected manager in the game of baseball, taking over a San Francisco team that is kind of looking for something to kind of catch on fire, right? In a good way. Like, they're trying to look for a spark of energy, of just of winning, just sustained winning. It's kind of a changing of the guard here. Brandon Crawford, I think, is done as a Giant. So no more guys left from that team. I'm not sure if there's anybody left from those championship teams. It is a new era in San Francisco. If the Giants can be players and get the right players and get good players, solid all-star players on that team, they could be really good. Challenge for a playoff spot, just like we saw last year with the Diamondbacks coming out of nowhere. The Giants could be last year's Arizona's team. So Melvin has a great chance to do that. Logan Webb is my face of the franchise for the San Francisco Giants. Kyle Harrison, I like a lot. The rookie last year, going to be a rookie this year, I think, too. So good pieces there. Michael Luciano, there's good pieces with the Giants. Even as a Dodger fan, I will admit that. Up to the Midwest, this time in Chicago with the Cubs. So Craig Counsell has a little heel turn here. Goes down to Chicago on the Cubbies pinstripes. The Cubbies are going to reap the benefits of that. I'm not saying he's going to do a Bochy and just take them to the World Series next year. What I'm saying is look out for Chicago to be better than they have been. Of course, they went through a rebuild. Coming out of that rebuild, we saw it. They just missed the postseason last year, but really look for the Cubs to be a really good team next year going forward. I think Craig Counsell taking over a Cubs team that is just a couple of pieces away from being a serious threat in the National League. By Nico Hoerner, he didn't have Anthony Swanson when they signed such a big contract. They're in win now mode. We shall see what pieces they add this upcoming offseason. But overall, the Cubs are in a great spot. As mentioned, talking about those Milwaukee Brewers, they hired Pat Murphy from within their organization. He's now the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. First time gig, I think, as a manager. So we'll see what he does. I think he fits in with Milwaukee. He's been there a while. He knows the system. The players know him. Going to be much of a change there with the Brewers. But that Brewers team, to me, kind of in a no man's land. I'm just going to be honest. They're kind of in no man's land. I like the Brewers players. I like Christian Yelich a lot. Saw him at MVP level. Then he kind of just fell off there, just like Cody Bellinger did. And then last year, kind of had a bounce back year. So Christian Yelich, if you could keep having a bounce back year and kind of get back to that MVP form-ish, I think the Brewers can be contending. I'm not sure how far they're going to contend, but they can be a competitive team. Freddie Peralta, I think Freddie Peralta has Cy Young stuff. If he can stay healthy and put it all together, I think Freddie Peralta is a really good pitcher. Super high on the totem pole for me as far as like their outlook going into next year with Pat Murphy. But Pat Murphy's taking over a competitive team, and he has a chance to do some great things with the Brewers. Down in Texas, the Astros hired a new manager after Dusty Baker decided to retire. So Dusty Baker retires. He's done with the game of baseball. Took over an Astros team that was in the midst of quite the scandal, and he took them to the promised land, won the World Series, got to the LCS every single year. But Dusty Baker did a hell of a job there with Houston, and so Joe Espada gets the promotion just like Pat Murphy did from within the organization. Joe Espada gets the promotion within the Astros organization, and he gets a chance to manage the Astros now. And again, the Astros are not going anywhere. The Astros are going to be good this year again. Said Houston is 100% going to be a World Series favorite coming out of the American League again. Top 4 team, I think, coming out of the AL as of right now today. I will be interested to see what kind of moves they make going into this offseason. But Joe Espada taking over a team with Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, despite the rumors. Jordan Alvarez, Framber Valdez struggled last year in the postseason, but we know this Astros team is really good, and the Astros players know Joe Espada, and the players are going to like playing for him. So the Houston Astros are on a good spot with Joe Espada. And finally, ending out west down in Anaheim with Ron Washington. So when I grew up watching baseball, I knew him as a Texas Rangers manager. Went to the Fall Classic a couple times, came up short a couple times. Over to Atlanta, all the Braves players love him. Finally gets another chance to manage, this time out in Anaheim with the Angels, taking over a team that is going to be looking different next year. I think if the Angels somehow end up with Shohei Ohtani again, the Angels could be in a good spot. They need a sense of stability there. They need some stability there with the Angels, and Ron Washington could bring that, right? He's no, messing around. He's no games. He's all business. He's serious, and he wants to win. He wants to win at this point in his career. So I think Ron Washington with the Angels, I think he's better than Phil Nevin. Of course, Joe Madden we saw go to the Anaheim Angels. It didn't work out there, so we'll see if Ron Washington is the correct fit there. He has a great group of guys already there as far as his coaching staff, so I like what he's done there with that. Believe it or not, the team could actually benefit from losing Ohtani. So with all that said, I believe Mike Shildt has the best chance to succeed. It's the easy answer. He's with the Padres, taking over a stacked team. There's MVP caliber players on that team. I think the Padres are going to bounce back. I'd be shocked if they don't. There'd be some serious mirror looking if they don't, but I think Mike Shildt, all the good stuff I've heard about him, I think the Padres have a great chance to rebound next year and do some damage. Well, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Who has the best chance to succeed in their new managerial job? That being said, I will sign off, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.